Hello and welcome back to Two Cups Between. I'm Jordan here with my best friend Sam.
Hello.
Hi, Sam.
What's up, my friend?
Oh, not much actually.
Yeah.
Actually, things have settled out. I
Oh.
finished my closet reconstruction. Let's go.
Yes, we are done with closet.
We're done with Closet Gate. It's over.
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, thanks. Wow, that's so nice.
I need to do my closet now.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotional baggage off. A
Yeah.
nice opening to Cancer season. It's fine. We're doing great.
Oh, Cancer season.
Oh, Cancer season. How are you?
Well, we are at the time of recording this on day 2 of Cancer season.
Yeah.
But wow. As a water sign, I've been through it and back, and now I think
Wow.
I'm on the up and up.
It's only day 2.
Yeah, but like the days leading up, I was like, oh, I'm on an emotional roller coaster. Whoa. Let me off. Let me off this thing.
Wow.
And I went to bed yesterday super frustrated. Like I was so irritable.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever just like you're tired and like ready to go to bed, but you're very dissatisfied with the day? You're just like, it seems silly now, but you're just like, I didn't do anything today and this day sucked.
No, I feel that so hard because sometimes I'm just like, I didn't do a single thing for me today, and that feels really, really bad. Like, it feels so unsatisfying.
And yesterday was the solstice, and I'm like, like I'm a little hippy dippy, and I'm like, I wanted to do something special for the solstice, and instead it was just super gloomy. I didn't get to go outside, and didn't do a single thing. Didn't do a single reflection of anything.
I didn't either, but I also forgot. I literally had a really sick migraine all day yesterday. Called out of work because I felt so horrible.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did call out of work yesterday. I felt truly ill. I felt good enough I like really psyched myself up to go to the library because I wanted to pick up my physical library card and like do a few bookish things. Not bookie things, that's gambling. Bookish things like relating to books.
What is bookie things?
A bookie is the person who like you place your bets with.
Wait, what?
Did you not know that?
No, I've never heard this before. I'm having an immigrant moment. Just that's my cop out whenever I don't know something.
I'm an immigrant.
I don't know these things. That's funny though.
That's a bookie. I did bookish things. Going to the library, went to a used bookstore.
Ooh, you did some stuff. You had a nice solstice day.
I went to a tiny coffee shop in the town where my high school is, which is like where the library is. Suddenly I am. Suddenly I am.
Yeah.
I'm having a moment, a main character moment, Yeah, I did that. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. Then I went to another library, but that's in the other county.
Okay.
And
library
they
tour.
were like, yeah. And like for the general county library, you can get a library card if you live in the neighboring counties. But for that library, which is like the town library, you have to live in the county, in the town to use
I wonder
that
if that's
library.
how my hometown's library is, because that's the only library card I have.
Oh, like your hometown one?
Yeah. The suburbs.
The town library or the county library?
They're different. That's a good point. I think it's the county. I think it's the county
library. Sometimes in North Carolina, if you live in the neighboring counties, you can also go to that library. But
right.
I don't know why everybody can't use every library. I think it's
it's a little weird.
like gatekeeping books
At
from
least
me.
The state.
Your library is better funded than mine because I live in a poor county. Like, why can't I use it?
Oh,
that's my real
I
problem.
get it now. The light bulb.
Yeah.
Okay.
The librarian who helped me was like, it's a municipality thing. And I'm like, oh, you're just keeping
It's
out.
like, oh, so you're just throwing out ancient words at me to justify this. That's fine.
Yeah. It wasn't her fault fully. It was,
well, yeah.
It's the county's fault. Like the way it's all set up and whatever. It's fine. They were like, oh, you could pay $65 a year to use a library.
What?
And I said, absolutely
no, that's not. Is that a library anymore? No,
exactly.
That might as well be free. Amazon Kindle.
Exactly. Then I'm paying for my Kindle Unlimited subscription at that point. Like, no.
This isn't Audible, honey. This is a library.
This is a library. Thank you so much. That's so funny. Yeah, but I had a really nice day other than having a horrendous migraine. I also I filmed a vlog last week, which is weird.
It's about to be weird. Well, once this comes out, it's going to be out.
Yeah, it'll be live when this episode comes out.
Wow.
Ooh, yikes.
You're a YouTuber. You're a YouTuber now.
She's a YouTuber.
Are you going to VidCon? Like,
ew.
Not ew. That's funny. Oh my god.
Oh no.
We don't have any friends going to VidCon, do we?
No, thank God.
Okay.
Not yet, at least. Maybe in a couple years.
Including you.
No. Staying home, okay? Anyway, we are changing up the episode format a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
We're doing this, which is really good for us, less than 10 minutes of talking shit. And we're gonna dive into the astrology right away.
We're gonna talk different shit now.
Oh yeah, we'll still talk shit.
Right.
We'll have more to talk about later, I'm sure. But we're gonna dive into the astrology pretty quickly here.
We're gonna cut to the chase, if you will.
Can you believe it? Us cutting to the chase?
Yeah.
Never thought I'd see the day.
But we're gonna get into the astrology early to better guide our conversation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And also for me, maybe it is because it is a water season. Like, I literally felt like yesterday that I was back in Pisces season. I was like, I haven't felt this uncontrollably emotional in a while.
Wow.
Like, I was really thinking I was surprised of how self-aware I was while going through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I haven't felt like I've been pretty okay and able to just like control how I feel. Not control. That sounds like restrictive.
Not like that.
Yeah, but be a little less emotionally reactive. But yesterday I was just like flying off the walls, it felt like. And yeah, so I just feel like that's a water season effect for me. I don't necessarily look forward to water seasons. I don't know.
Right.
Like, whenever water signs are just like, our seasons are the best, I'm like, said no one ever. Like, that is not true. It's like, our seasons are tough and they are rewarding in ways that like you're not going to appreciate right now, in the moment, because it's just going to be too difficult.
I agree, actually. I think there's a lot of emotional growth and processing, whether you are aware of it or not during water seasons. But like you said, it's not exactly fun. Like, you're not really having a good time.
And you're not even going to like realize it until a few months later.
Yeah.
Right?
It's definitely a retrospective. Oh, I learned a lot then. I went through a lot. I felt a lot of things. And I came out of it feeling this kind of way. And it's affected me this way. Like it does take a lot of self-reflection, though. I think I need to get back on my journaling game, and that can be really helpful. This is a good
time and probably a difficult time at the same time.
Super hard. But I think like just having that like visual, physical representation of like how I'm feeling right now, and then as I go through Cancer season and into Leo and Virgo season, like how that manifests for me and how it changes me and how I see the world. Like, this is I don't know, 2023 overall has been a quite transformative year. I think for a lot of people, not just even people our age, but so many people. And I think this is a really important year for self-reflection if you have the capacity for it.
Right.
Not just Cancer season, but this might be, yes, this might be a good season to start that, because it's going to be an emotional season.
Right.
And it already is.
It already is. Like, I'm definitely feeling it. And yeah, so I mean, what I was getting at is like, I feel like I need no, not at all. I feel like I need the astrology guidance. I know in our last episode I was literally like, I'm doing great and I don't need to look at the astrology, which isn't really what I meant. It was more like, you know, there are times where you need the guidance because the emotions and feelings are too much. And at the time I was kind of just cruising along, so there was no need to overanalyze things. But yeah, this is gonna be I wouldn't even say that this upcoming week in astrology is very intense. But it is just like, I don't know, more emotional and more watery than like people who aren't water signs are maybe used to.
For sure. And if you don't have strong water placements,
like, good luck. Which I don't, by the way.
You don't have a lot of them. Pisces is like your only one, practically. Yeah. I have a few.
We're both airy.
We're airy. Airy bitches.
Yeah, we're a little, we're in the clouds, if you will.
A bit gaseous, maybe. You know?
Yeah, like Venus.
Airheads.
Okay? Yes, we are.
We are airheads.
There you go. We are airheads.
I have a few water sign, like a few water placements, but only one in my inner planets, and I wouldn't argue that this is my strongest planet.
Scorpio, Pluto?
Yeah. No, my Scorpio Mars.
Oh, shit. I forgot.
It does explain some of the ways I've been feeling lately, but it's also, I think, working together between the Cancerian energy and the Scorpio energy, the pending Cancerian energy up to this point, like, has made me a little bit more inspired. I'm feeling vulnerable, but not in an exposed way. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, this is an extremely, and we'll get into it, this is an extremely creative time.
Yes,
we actually just had someone tell us that they're really trying to make some art of their own. I'm not gonna spoil anything. But it could be a time where like you're finally settling into some transitional stuff. Yeah. And now you have the chance to create, to make art.
Gemini season is a lot of movement. Yeah. A lot of movement, and Cancerian energy is much more still. So I think this will be a good time to think about like all the ideas you had during Gemini season and start kind of brewing. Start actually putting them into action. You wrote them all down. Right? And now
well, I'll get right on that. Let me just scribble. Like, rushing
try
to
remember
stuff down.
Yeah. Now is the time to start like working on them, figuring out what you need and how to create projects and stuff, how to put these things in action. Anyway.
Yeah. So starting off, actually the day this comes out, Monday, the 26th, Mercury enters Cancer.
Woo, let's go.
Mercury's moving again. She's doing the most
every time.
Actually, it's funny, before starting this podcast, at this moment Mercury is still in Gemini, right? And the technology just seems to be going wrong. Like
for like everyone, it's so weird.
Gemini, Mercury in Gemini is gonna go out with a bang, I think. So if you've had some, if it's felt like Mercury retrograde recently, that might be why.
Yes.
But on Monday, aka today, when you're listening to this, maybe, or when this comes out, Mercury enters Cancer, which is just like really gonna help you be more upfront about your feelings, which is a little scary for some of us.
Yes, right?
Not me and myself. But yes, being a little more honest about how you're feeling, which may be a good time, like you said, to start journaling, to start reflecting, if that's something that you've been struggling with doing. And yeah, I think a big overarching theme of Cancer season is boundaries.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, yes.
Not that it's an easy thing to do.
No.
Water signs struggle with boundaries. Okay. That's no, like, it's nothing new. Okay.
Right.
And I was just telling you before this that, like, what is the boundary between the ocean and the shore? Like, where is that? Where is it? It's constantly moving, and it's really hard to, like, draw a line between where the ocean and shore actually ends.
Yep.
Okay. And so that is, like, a really big theme for Cancer season. Cancer season is also metaphorically a lot about the family, especially the mother. Although, like, I will say, like, we use a lot of metaphors for Cancer about, like, the mother and the pregnant mother and, you know, whatever. But, like, obviously gender's fake.
Right.
Newsflash.
Exactly.
I don't know if you
Gender
ever heard
is
that.
Fake.
I don't know if you've heard, but gender doesn't exist.
Yes. It's more the archetype of the mother versus
exactly. Because, like,
being a quote unquote woman.
Yes, exactly. Or that mothering, nurturing energy that is typically seen as feminine, but, you know, it could be attributed to anyone.
Yes.
So yeah, like, think about how your family and your, like, upbringing really shapes your sort of emotional well-being, if you will. That we kind of have to, like, relearn and unlearn as we are adults on our own. And, like, a lot of our triggers are actually attributed to our upbringings or our parents. And especially, like, the Cancer Capricorn axis, because Capricorn is the opposite of Cancer and is also seen as the fatherly authoritarian figure. So both of those placements, so if you are a Capricorn, you will feel this too.
Right.
Is, like, you know, re-examining your relationship with either of your parents or either of your parents or both of them, I guess.
Or the archetype, who was that in your life? How do you see this manifest in your life?
Exactly. And sort of unlearning, like, those dynamics if they're harmful to you now. Right. So yeah, that is a big theme, and I think Mercury being in Cancer, and it will be conjunct the Sun also in a few days. It'll really be about, like, being so honest about your feelings and, like, what you're going through, maybe with those family members if they're still around, or with people that you're currently in relationship with that mimics those relationship dynamics and those triggers and sort of things that you've learned from being in relationship with your parents, right? So yeah, that's a big theme. It's kind of a heavy one as well. Right. It's also, like, kind of been brought up for me, which is also why I've been struggling for these few days, being in my parents' home. So yeah, that is a big one. Definitely a difficult one, but I think the astrology is in support of you moving through that. Right. And kind of creating those boundaries more strictly. So yeah, that's, like, one of the biggest things that's happening this week. And the other big thing that is happening this Friday is another retrograde. Can you believe? Can you believe that we're having yet another one? Not stressed at all. But actually, this Friday, Neptune goes retrograde for about 5 months. So Neptune's been in Pisces for like ever. I don't even know.
A long time.
Neptune stays in a sign for a really long time. And Neptune is seen as one of Pisces rulers, along with Jupiter. So it has been in that sign for a long time. Right. And it's a very abstract planet in general. Like, we talk about the outer planets being a little more global and a little less interpersonal. And so I wouldn't say that this retrograde is as intense as a Pluto retrograde or even a Saturn retrograde or a Mercury retrograde. Like, this will be much more subtle. If you are, like, a super tuned in spiritual person, which usually I think I am, but I have not been able to be that way in a long time personally. You may feel some subtle changes. It may feel hard to kind of like, it may feel a little harder, I should say, to tune in spiritually because of this retrograde.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've been reading about Neptune retrograde is that it's an opportunity to kind of step back, observe your feelings, and sort of look at your real life, not the spiritual life, but kind of your on earth IRL life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And Neptune's a super creative, artsy energy, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And it is still supporting that even when it's in retrograde.
Right.
If anything, it's more like, instead of having artistic ideals, which I did associate with Pisces last week, that Pisces has a lot of artsy, beautiful ideas, but not necessarily puts them on paper or makes them into anything concrete. But when Neptune goes retrograde, it's much easier to feel inspired to do that.
The abstract becomes concrete in a way.
Yes. Which seems ironic. Like, it would seem like a retrograde would kind of be counteractive for any kind of action, but because Neptune itself is so abstract, the retrograde means more action.
Right.
Which is great. So it's actually a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really good chance. I mean, it's for 5 months, so it's about for the rest of the year almost.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
So kind of what we've been saying, like, your mind's been racing with all these ideas, right?
Yeah.
You've kind of put a lot of things into action probably for the first half of this year, made a lot of changes, had a lot of ideas of how you can move forward with your careers, or maybe you've suddenly gotten a new dream or new goal that you never even thought of before, and this is a good time to like start that. Like your YouTube career. You know what I mean? Like, this is the time to start.
For sure.
So yeah, I think this is a good time. It could just be like a really emotional time. Making art is an emotional process.
And it's vulnerable. Like, what people I think often forget about art is that it is an expression of you, of like your inner self in whatever aspect you choose to present. Like,
right. And you give that to other people to interpret.
Hugely vulnerable. Yeah. So, take time for yourself. It's okay to be upset or nervous or hurt when someone doesn't accept your art in the way that you want them to accept it. But it's also important to be resilient during this time. Like, wallowing is not helpful in Cancer season because the wallowing gets really deep.
Oh,
you can get way down in the Mariana Trench of wallowing if you
the Marinara Trench.
The Marinara Trench. If you like let yourself stay in that place for too long. So, having resilience to moving on, which actually we're going to talk about more astrology, but it also relates to the new thing we're adding to the podcast, which is a little bit of tarot guidance for the week. So Sam does the astrology report and I do the tarot. And the card that came up this week for this general report is Strength, card number 11. And
I love that card.
I love Strength. It's such a powerful, Strength, duh. But it's such like a supportive card too, that even during this really emotional time, like your fortitude, your self-confidence, like all of that may feel like it's taking blows from the outside, but it really is all an internal process. Things you need to kind of remind yourself of, things that you can fall back on because you are resilient enough to handle the vulnerability, or you're strong enough to take the criticism. Like, you are strong, complete, whole, how you are right now. But it's important. Sometimes we forget that, like life beats us down so much that part of us gets shut away for a while. But
I was actually getting the Strength card a lot in my readings during Pisces season. And during that time, that's when we first started this podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
It was during Pisces season. And that was like a really exciting time. But then kind of right after we started, I went through like such a such a like burnout phase.
Right.
And then I started my medium sleigh thing, afterward. But during the really hard part, I kept getting strength.
Yeah.
And you and I have been reading astrology for a long time for ourselves. And I feel like I used to get very frustrated when tarot did not seem to reflect what I was currently going through. I was just like, this just seems like almost blind optimism, or
it can feel mocking in a way.
Yeah, or like putting a band-aid on it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But I feel like this time around, because it kept coming up, and I can't deny the evidence. So I was like, well, this is probably telling me what to, maybe not what to strive for, but like what to remind myself of. Because strength is not about just like already being the best.
Right.
It's kind of realizing that despite it all, you are actually okay and capable.
Right. Yes. Another way that I find you like helpful when interpreting strength, and a way that I think is really powerful to interpret strength, is finding your power through honoring all of the facets of yourself. So honoring your vulnerability, your sadness when you're struck with the mood, the way you express your emotions, the way you allow yourself to express them, like the way you overcome a lot of things that happen in your life, despite them being probably really traumatic and very difficult to deal with. The way you continue.
Yeah.
And just continue is very powerful. It's very much like the essence of strength for me.
Yeah. And it's funny because like relating this to Cancer season again, it does remind me of like postpartum.
Right.
Oh. Birth is extremely traumatic.
Yes, physically and emotionally.
It is like
spiritually,
like you are on the brink of death, bringing life into the world.
Right.
And like the whole, and like now we know that you get a shot of like oxytocin and dopamine or whatever once the baby is born, and that's why you're able to even think of having another child.
Right.
But I mean, that's a really like removed way to think of it. But also thinking of like all the things, whatever you created in spite of the struggle,
yes,
like re-inspires you, kind of.
Yes. I agree. That's a
and I mean that's obviously not to dismiss like the struggles of postpartum, because people definitely go through
your
that.
personal struggles, just as you strive to keep going.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard. Strength is not about, I think, like you were saying, it's not about just covering it up and like smoothing it over. It really is a reminder of your own resilience, that you've been through things like this before. You've dealt with things that were more difficult, things that were less difficult, but still impactful. Like, it's, and I think that's something that's hard about Cancer season, is remembering that when you're in your emotional pit of despair, like it can be all consuming, very Ophelia, drowning in like the reflection you've created of like,
that is so Cancer. Wow.
It is this very like watery echo chamber. It can be very hard to kind of pull yourself out of that, but you've made it through seasons like this before, and you'll make it through again. Plus you probably have much better support systems as you've aged, as we deal with the mommy and daddy issues. There are people who will support you. I find that something that I keep coming back to this year especially is community. I think because it's been so important for me over the past year, it's something that I've been personally reflecting on a lot. Like I feel like I always need to kind of put out that reminder that like you're not alone. You have community. It's hard to reach out. Cancer season is a great time to reach out. Everybody's feeling mushy and vulnerable, and you can be stronger together if you just need someone to lean
and
on.
With a Cancer Mercury, like
right.
Yeah.
This is all very supportive of like getting through feeling the feelings.
Feeling the feelings, but like being connected with people at the same time.
Yeah. And honoring your feelings. It's okay to feel what you're feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you don't have to cover it up.
Yeah. Because I think of like the difference between Mercury and Cancer versus like maybe Mercury and Pisces, which is also an emotional communication time. But like I feel like when Mercury is in Pisces, it's almost like too much and a little too deep and uncontrolled and almost like all consuming.
Yeah.
Whereas Cancer, like I think of when, you know, I'm just thinking of like going to a mother who understands a lot more emotionally because they're a mom. Like I just feel like you get a level of understanding having a child.
Yeah.
And you just have like a different kind of love for a child. I'm saying this as a childless person. But
right.
From what I've heard and talked about with people who've had children is like they're like, you know how people say like, oh, this is like a part of myself, like this is my heart outside of my body,
right?
kind of thing. And so there hopefully is like no judgment there when the child is emotional. That is also like kind of the ideal. And also like how forgiving a mother is. Like even if a child gets emotional and upset and says like hurtful things, and a mother's forgiveness, which some people may think is kind of uh almost delusional in a way. It's like, why would you forgive someone for saying those things to you? But a mother's love kind of overcomes that.
Right.
And it's kind of like turning that kind of forgiveness and compassion to yourself. Like despite all the things that you think you failed at or you've done wrong or the bad feelings and bad thoughts that you've felt or the way you've treated people that you're not proud of and still haunt you today. But like being that forgiving person to yourself.
Unconditional love and forgiveness.
Yes. And like non-judgmental and kind of just like, you know, it's in the past now. In only a way that I think you could do for someone who is your child or has that kind of relationship with you where like you're gonna forgive anything that they do. Right. Yeah, I think that's also a big lesson for this time.
Oh, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's heavy. And that's just, we've only talked about the sun, Mercury, and Neptune. There's more happening this week, but those are really overall Cancer season themes, kind of. But remembering your strength this week will be helpful.
Definitely the big things that are happening this week. And like we've talked about since the beginning of this podcast, the Saturn in Pisces, which is retrograde right now, will have a trine with the sun on Wednesday, the 28th.
Delightful.
And which means that the Mercury will also have a trine with Saturn, probably upcoming. And sort of that relationship between like your overall life, the stage of life that you're in, and living it out in the most like honest, truthful way.
Yes. Ooh, so much vulnerability this week. Very hard.
And a lot of like
for a lot of us
living your life for yourself.
Yes. Oh my God.
This is a huge theme, and it's also a huge lesson for Cancers.
Yes.
Too, because Cancers, like I said, are in this kind of like metaphorically the mother, and mothers tend to not live for themselves.
They live for everyone else usually.
Yes.
In a lot of cultures.
Yes.
A lot of our own mothers live for us and not for themselves.
And kind of learning to break free from that and like actually make their own decisions. And
that's huge. Yeah, that's actually huge.
Thing. So yeah, that is also a big part of this now.
Right.
Is sort of learning those things, reflecting on like, oh, I've been doing all of this because of my family or my upbringing or what I believed about myself. And moving forward from that is huge steps. Relate to me a lot right now, I gotta say.
Right.
But yeah, that it's all supportive of moving forward. It's just a little emotional, and people don't want to access all of that right now.
Right. I totally get that, and am feeling that, and like me branching out in terms of content creation and like being a bit more honest about like what I want and where I would like to go with my life is different, because my parents don't necessarily like get why I'm doing what I'm doing, but just being honest that like while I do actually like my corporate 9 to 5, not that I work a 9 to 5, I work a 1 to 9, but like while I do like my job, I don't want to do that forever.
Yeah.
So I'm working on finding my own avenues, my own extra lines of revenue and sources of income so that I can actually pursue what I want out of my life, like working on these passion projects that I actually am really enjoying and like love taking time to do. It's just something important to me that they don't understand, and like breaking free from that. And my dad's actually been doing a lot of that this year, and it was just his birthday last week, and like I think he's also in a phase where he's finally like, okay, it's time, like he's older. So he's like, if I don't start doing what I want to now, it's not going to happen.
It's like, when do I do it then?
Exactly. So like I do think that part of like me streaming and kind of pursuing that part of my life actually kind of inspired him, and like he's been asking me about different programs that I used to record, and like he wants to learn stuff that I've been doing that I know how to do, and I think it's like very cool to watch my dad finally do that. Cute. And I think my mom is like almost at a breaking point where she's going to need to do that too, because she's really unhappy at her job.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like a means to an end, so for her. So
yeah,
I think like there's a lot of creative energy in my house, and like inspiring each other and helping each other break out of these things. Because even dads and fatherly archetypes struggle with like doing what they want to, like there's such a sense of responsibility.
Exactly. They've been put in a role of like being a provider.
Yeah.
So there's no space for like, well, what do you want to do and what inspires you? It's like,
exactly.
I need to make money so my family can live and I can have a house.
Exactly. And that's been my dad's MO for a long time, like,
yeah.
My mom has always actually been the breadwinner, but my dad keeps everything else afloat.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Regardless of like the income, it's kind of like still the roles that people are put into, right?
Yeah.
Especially our parents' generation.
Right. So, it's been nice to see that inspiration kind of be a little bit infectious between me and my dad, and like our ebbs and flows. And I really hope he like really pushes for what he wants and for his dreams. And my mom is very good about supporting him, and they're much better about supporting me. Like we've definitely gone through a lot of growth as a family, I think, and learning how to support each other and like
that's good.
what we need. So if you're not already there, things to expect during this kind of time period. And like I think the Saturn and Pisces energy actually is really helping my family be more focused on stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's interesting. My mom also started studying Ayurveda. I don't know if I told you this. She's doing like
when we came over, you told me.
And I was really excited about she started on a course. There's like multiple levels to it, up to a doctorate that you can be an Ayurvedic practitioner. And my astrologer uncle, I'm sure I've mentioned my astrologer uncle before. He's not an astrologer, he's a mathematician. He's a professor. But also an astrologer. He inspired her to do it because he's also on his way to, I think he's going to do the whole doctorate, to be honest.
Of course he is.
Yeah, people like I think he's going to go all the way.
PhDs or doctors or doctorate certificates.
No big deal. But so my mom started on like the first part of the course.
Yeah.
Just to see if she would like it. And of course she loves it. We are an academic family.
Yeah.
We like to study, okay? It's kind of our gift and curse at the same time. At least I see it that way. Maybe no one else sees it that way. But we love to learn. We're learners, okay? And you know, I was talking to her about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to go to the next one at least, which is Ayurvedic counselor, I believe." But and I was asking her about it. I was kind of like, "Oh, well, what do you want to do with this?" Because she had played around with being doing like a nutritionist course before. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure yet what I want to do with it as terms of my career." And I've never heard her say something like that before.
Wow.
And you know, it's kind of amazing to hear someone much older than you talk about like, "Oh, this new thing I want to do with my career," right?
Yeah.
Because even I at 28 am like, what am I doing with my life? I haven't established anything. You know?
Right.
But it's kind of like none of that matters. It never matters when you start something new. Okay? Like you can start it and not finish it, or you can start it and go all the way, and it's fine. It's all fine.
Yep.
So
it's
yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. And a lot of that unlearning comes from family upbringing too. Of like, you got to establish yourself, and especially coming from an immigrant family is like, we came here so you could establish yourself. So what are you doing? You're 30 now and you haven't done anything with this?
Right. But it's very cool that your mom is like pursuing something new.
Right.
And I feel like while your parents place an interesting burden on you to succeed and do well,
subconsciously, I will say.
It's not intentional.
Yeah. Like no one's asking me to come support the family financially, which is a whole other thing that a lot of immigrant kids go through.
Woo, that's a huge other thing.
I will already say that I come from a place of privilege because of that.
Right. But I do feel like regardless. I do feel like your family, your parents have always been supportive of you doing what feels right to you. I feel like even when it feels like they do trust you to make those decisions for yourself.
I've had to fight. Yeah. But it's been more flexible than I would say most people I know in the same kind of family dynamic. You know, so much so that they come to me being like, how did your parents let you do that? And it's kind of like, well, they didn't. I did it anyway. I said, this is what I'm doing, actually.
A testament to your strength overall, to relate it back to the tarot for the week. But like, I think that that's something that as you fought for it, now it is a bit easier to deal with, where like they trust you to know what is right for you in terms of like taking the next steps for
certainly,
you, like, not to be burnt out all the time, even though you are, just because of how school is. That's not that's not your fault, you know, but like it's not really a choice, I should say. But you know, I feel like they do trust you to make those decisions for yourself and like pursue things that you're excited about, and or refinding those passions for yourself. And yeah, I don't know, I think you're I think both of us actually have unique family identities.
Your family's so different from mine.
No, and that's the thing, our families are so different, but even your family, in terms of being an immigrant family and your upbringing, I do think is different from other immigrant families, and like the way, you know, your schooling has been and how they've responded to it is different from other immigrant families.
And like, I mean, it's also part of that, or a contributing factor is that my sisters also had what's the word, like less standard paths as well.
Yeah,
and so
it's interesting.
All three of us kind of had to be like, actually, I can't just do what you want me to do just because you know you want that,
right? I'm just like, I want it too, but I have to find my own way to it. So I need you to trust me for a minute.
You just hold on for a moment. I'm still gonna do the things. Okay.
Right.
And you know, my sisters are in their mid-30s and just now getting into their careers as well. Like really established, you know.
Truly finding their way.
Yeah, and that's also just a generational thing, right? Like where most people in our generation stay at a job for like 2 years at a time until they find the right thing or start working for themselves.
Absolutely.
You know?
I literally saw a TikTok about this the other day.
Yeah. And it was in, I know you suggested the Evelyn and Friends episode last week. When they talked about like I Don't Dream of Labor.
Yeah.
That generational difference too.
Yes.
Of like our parents' idea is that you go to college and you study something and then you either keep studying it or you get a job related to it.
And then you stay in that job forever until you die.
Even if they don't treat you that well.
Yep.
What is it? It's like if they do well by you or something like that. Whatever the boomer generation thinks about their jobs.
Right.
I don't know. Your parents aren't really boomers, but they're still kind of in the same.
They're Gen X
mindset. Yeah.
They're definitely closer to boomers, but not quite. Not quite. But that is like a lot of how they approach work, right? Like I said, for my mom especially, her job is means to an end. You know, good retirement. She has plenty of job security. They're not firing her anytime soon. Not only because she's very, very, very good at her job, but because they don't turn over positions like that at where she works. Like
good.
And even for my dad, his job is also just a means to an end. Again, he's very good at it. My family is just a family full of people who give about 60 to 70% and excel beyond everyone else. You know, like that's my family. That's every single one of us. So So I think it's hard for them. I mean, it's become easier, but I think they were definitely taught to be people who give their all and sacrifice a lot of their own mental health and personal well-being for their jobs. And they don't do that as much anymore. They are modernizing, you know.
It's also like at a certain point you can't do that anymore. Like you can't afford.
I mean, you physically
that.
Can't. My parents are approaching 60. Like they're older. You know, they don't have the capability to give that much of themselves.
It just
anymore.
Would not be good for a 60-year-old to keep straining like that. You know?
Exactly. My mom is literally having to get shoulder surgery in the fall because her job has always been quite physical, and it's a great job. She loves that aspect of her job, but she physically can't do it anymore.
Like she's definitely too young to be getting a shoulder surgery.
To need to have her shoulder replaced. Absolutely.
Yeah. But
like it's a lot. So
it's a lot. And I think these generational kind of analyses or generational differences have been coming up. I mean, they've been in discussion for a long time.
Right.
But I've been thinking about that more, and I think it relates to cancer season as well, to see like the differences in thinking between the generations.
And just as like a reminder, this discussion kind of stems from the Saturn in Pisces.
Oh yeah.
Stuff that we're talking about, right? Which is a huge generational planet movement.
Definitely.
Like this is huge. So these are generational patterns. Like I'm just thinking like my dad was kind of in a similar place where he was like working a job at that time that was a means to an end. He was in the military, and it's like you work as long and as hard as you can in the military to then be set up with benefits,
right?
You know, like
for the rest of your life.
Exactly. And for your whole family.
Yeah.
So like that's a huge thing. Yeah. And then my mom was just starting her ultrasound career, or like she had started it pretty recently after I was born, and this being our Saturn return, like our first Saturn return.
Oh, yeah, good
this
point.
Is, you know, like she's kind of in the same place again where like
right.
She's on the cusp. I can feel it and I hear it, and she's talked about it. of starting something new or shifting her career.
Just like moving on. Like,
yeah. So like we're kind of entering this same place. It's all patterns and cycles and things. Right. So
like this is the Saturn return of her career. If you want to think of it like that.
If you want to think of it like that. Like this is just a lot of generational shifts and patterns we're revisiting.
Definitely. Like you're right that Saturn it represents the generations and phases of life. Mm-hmm. Like childhood, adulthood. I guess adolescence in between. Adolescence in between early adulthood and then later adulthood when you're getting into your retirement phase. At least in the States. I don't know how retirement works in other countries. Probably a lot more what's the word? I don't know. It's probably just more logical in other countries, to be honest. And so, but anyway,
Anyway, sorry, that was a very long tangent.
No, but I do think it all really relates, to like what's going on in astrology for sure, and like reflecting on your parents and what they've gone through and how their life is very different from yours. So them either judging your lifestyle or your career choices, like they may have some good advice, but also they just won't know where you're coming from because we live in literally a different world than they did when they were our age.
Exactly.
So yeah, like I think that's important to keep in mind when dealing with that criticism or whatever it is from our parents' generation.
Right.
And also when we're looking at younger generations too. I was thinking about this yesterday of like, now we're getting, you and I would think, are getting to the age where like we don't understand the children.
I really don't. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't
understand the children, but I think for me anyway, I think it's important for me to at least try.
Yes.
Because I don't want to start making judgments about them and forget what I was going through when I was younger.
Yep.
And also be aware of like how different things are than when I was younger.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and the thing is, if you talk to a teenager for long enough, they probably have a lot of the same exact concerns that you did when you were younger. But they just have a different language to talk about it. They have like a different lexicon and just other different
so
things
much
going on
too. Yeah. The language you use reflects your thoughts, right? Like
right.
Even if it seems like silly or like quote unquote adults don't know what you're talking about, like the way you use your language reflects your thought process. And so phrases that are popular with the youths that means a certain thing to them that mean maybe something different to us, like that's important to how they think about bigger ideas.
Yeah. Like why think about how, like, why are some of these phrases so trendy right now? Like obviously it's reflective of a lot of stuff that people are going through. Right. Like think of how much more language we have about mental health or relationships and toxic relationships, like all of those things. Those are all created by the current culture.
Yeah.
And what the current culture is focused on.
Exactly.
So instead of like making jokes and memes about it of like why it's all silly, it's kind of like, why are the youths using more or different language to talk about certain things? It's because maybe their dating lives are very different from when we were younger, blah, blah, blah. All those things.
Right.
I think are important to reflect on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Sorry, that was a long tangent about a singular trine. We have a couple more things to get to.
You're right.
Although I feel like we touched on a couple of different things that are just in the general astrology for the next week. But
I would say another aspect, we've talked a lot about water replacements. Venus and Chiron keep like meeting each other in different little aspects. Okay. Oof. And we've talked about this before, where it could be about reflecting on certain wounding or toxic dynamics in your relationships, whether it's romantic relationships or otherwise, but usually romantic relationships. And on Thursday, Venus and Chiron will have a trine in Leo and Aries, so this is more fiery energy.
Big Venus fiery clash, honestly.
Yes, a bit of a clash. I mean, it's a harmonious placement, but
it is.
Chiron and Venus meeting up with each other. It's not all rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, to me, this one, Venus and Leo and Chiron and Aries, screams like toxic relationship with yourself.
Ooh.
Leos are self-focused. Okay.
Careful now. You have Leo friends.
Not selfish, self-focused. Those are different.
So self-centered.
No, not that either. Oh my God,
I'm kidding.
Not that either. And Aries.
Aries are also a little self-focused.
They are self-focused as well. Like, they're the babies, remember?
Yeah.
It's all about me.
Represent the ego. Baby. They represent the head and face.
Right.
Very like... Right. Yeah.
Leo, so this like kind of... Again, a trine is a harmonious placement, but it is very much like... maybe you'll be feeling your oats that day, but you're gonna feel extra vulnerable about it.
Not feeling your oats. We just talked about the yous and their lingo.
We did, and then I used dated lingo. You might be feeling yourself really hard on Thursday, right? Like, you're gonna be so into it, but if you receive one speck of criticism, crumbling, a puddle, devastated. That's the energy I'm getting from this Venus trine Chiron thing. Like, your self-image is going to be a little bit fragile, but you'll have an air of confidence until someone brings you down. But it's going to be like a spiral if someone does that to
and
you.
That is the same day that Mercury trines Saturn, so you may have something to say about it or cry.
Yeah. You just need to cry about it, okay? It's okay if you need to cry about it. Tears
I could also see this being like kind of, if you are in a romantic relationship of any kind, your partner kind of triggering you a little bit. Some friction
could trigger each other, not just them to you. It could just be you're having a little tension, trying to communicate. Everybody's being not like really willing to see, like, to meet each other where you are, and that's okay. Sleep, maybe cry,
just like
come back the next day or so.
Deal with it when it's emotionally healthy. Did you see this? I've been kind of on Twitter too much lately. It's a problem. But did you see this video going around of this couple? It's a TikTok that's been going around on Twitter, of course. And it's this couple probably in their 40s at least. And the one oh, it's so embarrassing. Oh God, it's so terrible. I was just like, why did I have to see this? And it's just been coming up over and over again. But it's this woman trying to be like, oh, I just feel like you don't listen to me when I'm like trying to tell you about my feelings. Yeah. And her man comes behind her and cuts her off and like kind of holds her, I don't even know, holds her like waist and neck kind of.
No.
And it's just like nope. Jordan, the way he's kind of just like, just stop, you're doing too much. But I can't even, I don't want to imitate how he said it because it's just too much for me.
Oh my God.
And he's kind of like saying it into her neck.
No. In
the like crook of her neck. No. He's like, you're doing too much.
I hate it.
Just calm down.
That's and terrible. Don't ever let anyone.
Then he smacks her ass and leaves.
No,
and she
fuming.
But here's the thing: she kind of stops, and her eyes roll back in ecstasy.
What? Or is it in disgust and people are assuming?
No.
Oh, we're positive.
It's in pleasure. Okay. It's in pleasure. And
hate it.
Here's once this shows up on your timeline and you see the discourse, it is like it's too much. It's too much. But I mean, there's people saying like it's not that serious. This is just their kink. It is that serious. No. And then there are some people who are saying like this is a really bad misrepresentation of that kink.
Yes, it is.
Of like a submissive dom kind of dynamic.
Yeah,
like
that's not
healthy.
What that is.
That's not healthy. In the way that it's represented. Because, yeah, it could all be scripted, sure. Like, it could all just be scripted just for a video. Fine.
Sure, but I hate it.
But it's like not, it's not a good, like, a submissive dom kink doesn't mean like, I don't care when you're talking about your feelings.
Yeah, that's that's decidedly not what that is.
Right.
Very much not what that is at all.
Yeah. And like that's a very fine line. And like sure, there can be like there could be a way for that to be okay and like maybe hot, I guess. But not when
I'm just triggered.
Not when the dialogue is just like, I feel like you don't listen to me when I talk about my feelings.
Yes.
You know?
When that's the opener, this situation is wrong. I'm like viscerally triggered by that.
So bad.
Viscerally triggered by that, actually. Because it's happened to me. Bad. The follow-up was not in his favor, so I'm not standing there.
And the thing is, it wasn't even hot. Like he was not hot about it. It was just like
I'm just like, no, that's
it was
not
cringy.
It
was cringy
so
at best and abusive at worst. So there's that.
I hate it.
And like overall, like even if this is supposed to be like scripted kink content, it doesn't. It's like bad for the reputation of people who are actually trying to reduce the stigma of their kinks, right? Yep.
Don't ever let anyone do that to you. I'm telling you, the listener right now, don't ever stand for that shit.
Right. So
I fought for 5 years over that shit. Don't ever let someone do that to you because it's not acceptable.
Right. And then like of course there were a lot of jokes of like of course this happened. Of course some old people would do this to try to spark their relationship again and stuff like that. God. And it's like, no, that is not what we're doing here.
We better not be doing that here because that's not
what we're doing here. No. So yeah, this upcoming transit kind of reminds me of that video. Unfortunately,
the Venus
of kind of like the Venus Chiron. what are parts of your dynamic with your partner that are actually, like sexually healthy or just like romantically, healthy versus. Is this actually doing something to how you express yourself? Like, is it actually restricting how you express yourself and those sorts of things?
Yeah, it's again just a lot of self-reflection is necessary to take advantage of transits like this versus being bowled over by them and letting and just letting shit happen to you, Yeah. I think being aware of it, or like if that day you're feeling a little sensitive, a little soft, a little bit more easily upset, like having the self-awareness to be like, whether you are aware of the astrology or not, just having the self-awareness to be like, okay, I'm feeling easily provoked today and I need to take a step back for me or like change something about my situation right now. As best I can physically remove myself from this, like put on a few more layers of the mask so I'm not triggered by everyone saying whatever to me, whether it's meant to be harmful or not. Like I think that's one of those where people are going to be up in arms quite quickly. And everybody's gonna be a little rowdy in a not nice way, not a fun way rowdy, a harmful way rowdy. So being aware, protecting your peace. If you're feeling like you're rowdy, taking a step back, turning it down a notch, it's just important to be self-aware. And I think not enough people are actually self-aware.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and here's also a related transit with Venus in Leo happening on Sunday is a square with Uranus.
Yeah.
And I think this relates to what you're saying. Like, not most people reflect on this stuff because it's kind of not like socially acceptable to, like,
right.
You're supposed to just be happy that you're with someone.
Yeah.
Actually, like, why are you complaining? And the reason you're complaining about this kinky video is why you're single, actually. That's like a lot of what's been going on Twitter, by the way.
That's disgusting.
I'm like, y'all take things too seriously, and that's why you're single.
Oh my god.
I saw another video, another TikTok of someone what is it, duetting? Mm-hmm. God, I sound so old. Someone duetting someone else's TikTok. The first TikTok was like of this content creator and doing like a daily vlog kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, and me and my man are gonna film some dirty content for my OnlyFans or whatever. Right. And then the woman replying to that, it's just like, oh my god, like, I never put myself like this on the internet, and I have a good job, and I like support myself, and like, I'm single, and that's unfair.
What the fuck?
This like morally superior bullshit.
Ew, that's not what we're about.
Yeah.
Sex work is real work. Thank you so much.
Thanks so
Get your
much,
bag.
Actually.
Get your fucking bag,
and then,
honey.
Of course, like, all the replies are like, that's why she's single. That's why she's single. It's like, I hate everyone on the internet. Actually.
That's also not okay. Like,
yeah. I just feel like, leading up to this transit, Venus squaring Uranus is just like a lot of people are being very progressive with their relationships. Mm-hmm. Even to me, it's a little shocking. I grew up in a little Asian immigrant household. Okay. Right. But kind of like the dichotomy of people trying to return to really traditional ways versus people who are being extremely progressive and open. Mm-hmm. I think that could also be a theme coming up because of that transit. Yeah, definitely some tension, and like everyone's trying to be in each other's business for some reason. Mm-hmm. God.
Yeah, a little bit nosy.
But that's kind of the vibe regarding relationships. It's much more global, I think.
Don't project your relationship ideals onto other people's relationships, okay?
Just don't do it. If anything, figure out what your own ideals are, because they're probably a little fucked up. Okay? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Most of y'all don't even know.
Yep. If you're in a relationship, does your relationship reflect what you want from a relationship? Does it really reflect that? For both of you?
Just not just for really settling.
Ooh. Oh. Have you let something slide for a long time that you need to reaffirm with your partner that, hey, we need to be doing this, or I don't like that we're doing this, and here's how I want to change it. Like,
but don't leave me. But don't leave me.
Conversations need to be had. Okay. This is again Cancer season. Good time. It might be a little emotional. Yeah. But it's gonna be
not easy, but good.
Good, yes. Not easy at all. Quite, you have to be vulnerable. Let's open the floodgates, everybody, okay?
Because we want to go into Leo season having fun and feeling confident and feeling ourselves.
Oh my god. I know Leo season is technically the end of summer, right? But like Leo season is like real hot girl energy. Okay? Girl is non-gender specific in this case. Hot
G-U-R-L, girl.
Thank you. Or G-O-R-L. G-W-R-O-L. Squirrel?
Yeah, squirrel.
Hot squirrel. Hot.
Yes,
babe,
hot squirrels.
Whatever. Hot person summer is Leo season. So you need to have your emotional baggage sorted out in Cancer season. Because you can't be out here hot girling it up at the beach. Hot personing it up at your local farmer's market. If you're stuck
a sexy
in an
farmer's
emotional
market moment.
Look. Farmers markets are sexy, okay? If you're stuck with Cancerian emotional baggage, you can't go into Leo season ready to fucking stunt on everyone.
Oh,
right?
Man.
Show off, show out for Leo season. So get your shit together right now. Anyway.
That was good. That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the big things happening with Venus, and then like we mentioned about like career shifts, that's going to be further supported right after Neptune goes retrograde. Mercury and the Sun will be sextile with Jupiter. So like again, a really good time to be like, I'm living my life for me. My dreams. They're expansive. Goals. Jupiter's still in Taurus. Take advantage of it, okay? Take advantage of Jupiter being in Taurus. I think like it's such an abundant time. Like it's for me, like Jupiter can be a placement about luck and fortune. And I think there are people who identify with being unlucky or unfortunate, like they have to work really hard for stuff instead of just getting it. But it's more of a mindset. Like everyone has to work. Well, I was gonna say everyone has to work hard for what they get,
unless your father gives you a small loan of $1 million. You know, things like that.
Yeah, you know, disregarding privilege here. We all strive to get what we want. Even people who are super privileged have to self-reflect on what they want. Most of them just like fall into a role that they have to do, right? They're like, oh, let me carry on my father's business with my $1 million loan. Right? But what do I want for me?
What do I want for
Even
me?
the nepo babies have to find their purpose, okay? And yeah, Saturday will be a really good time for us and the nepo babies to be a little more authentic in our purpose, or at least reflect on how we can be more authentic in what we're doing.
Right.
So like overall, this is a really good time. I feel like we say that every week.
I know.
Overall,
sometimes it's not a good time though, but like really, really, this is a good vulnerable week.
This is a very evolutionary time, you know?
It is.
We're evolving. We're growing up. Okay.
We're growing.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh my God. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up anymore.
I was listening to Miles's podcast, Miles Bonsignore. And he asked one of his hosts, his like guest, like what she wants to be when she grows up. This is someone in her like mid-30s who has a pretty established career. And she was like, me?
I want to be me?
Myself? And he was like, yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good answer. but he was kind of saying like, what version of yourself do you want to evolve into? You know? And like for himself, he was like, I want to be like a little more mature, a little calmer, and be like, he essentially said that he wants to be seen more as a reliable person. And that sort of thing. So like, what are parts of you that you know within yourself are you, but like we don't really get to express many parts of ourselves. We kind of have to fit into what our job wants or what our parents want or what our partner wants, you know?
Yep.
So when I say what do you want to be when you grow up is kind of like, you know, when I think of people who are grown up compared to me, like people who are older, is that they give less of a shit about what other people think.
Yeah.
And they just like worry less in general, it seems. Because they just have like more of a calm confidence.
Yeah.
In themselves.
Right.
That they don't feel like they have to fit into a mold as much anymore. Which is kind of what I want to be when I grow up, if that makes sense.
I would love that. That'd be nice.
Yeah. So I think reflecting on that this week would be good. And writing it down. I've been so bad at writing stuff down. But it would be a good idea, I think, to write those things out. And then when you feel a little lost in the sauce later, you can look back at it and be like, oh, this is stuff that I want. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of it. We've covered a lot of stuff this time. But I think I don't know, I like how the astrology kind of relates with each other. All of these transits and stuff. It doesn't seem quite so chaotic. It seems more like there's a general theme.
There's a theme for the week.
That's what I feel like this time out anyway. So yeah, it's kind of what's up.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. Yeah. It only took us an hour and 15 minutes to get that across.
Yeah, concise.
Very concise. We are nothing if not concise. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We don't ramble.
No.
Oh my god. All right. Let's move on. All right. Well, Sam and I don't have anything new to recommend. We tried to talk about it and there's just nothing new. Yeah. I'm still reading Harrow. I'm still watching YouTube. That's all I've got.
Okay? I finished my Korean drama.
Oh, you finished it? Wow.
Yeah, I finished Dr. Cha.
Is it a complete series? Like
yes.
It's over.
It's over.
Woo!
And
how do you feel?
It confirms even more that it's a very Cancerian show to me.
Okay.
It goes along so much with what we've been talking about that it kind of blows I'm realizing it now that it blows my mind. Like, it's definitely about a mother who kind of reimagines her purpose and removes herself from a very terrible situation.
You love to see it.
Yeah, I think it was really good, and it's very different from Korean dramas I've watched in the past, or just like rom-coms in general. Like, there's no like, oh, everyone's happy and everyone coupled up at the end. You know, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
And you really get a much more fulfilling and open-ended ending for each of the characters, I think, in a more realistic way than like, because here's the thing, Korean drama, and this one as well, had so many just like tragic, dramatic events that aren't realistic. But usually I feel like dramas end these very drastic, dramatic shows with like a tidy, like perfect little ending. And it's just like even more unrealistic, right? But this is just like, nope, all these characters went through really difficult, tragic things.
Yeah.
And now they're moving on with their lives in ways that just like make much more sense. And I was like, it was very refreshing, actually.
That's nice.
So that's kind of, I mean, I literally just finished it and I haven't started on anything else. I want to watch the new Black Mirror, but I've heard that's not good, and I don't like getting reviews before I get to watch it. So that's unfortunate. But I mean, we'll see. I'll definitely look into it because it's one of my favorite shows, I think. We're in like a waiting period for stuff because I'm waiting for a lot of music to come out. And like, I'm looking forward to Doja's project.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited actually about that.
Like, her song was so good. I kept seeing the like teaser clip and I was like, this is already pretty good. But then when I listened to the whole song, I was like, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I don't know when that comes out. Probably soon, right? I don't know.
I think so.
And obviously EXO comes out with something. They're going to have, well, actually by the time this comes out, within a few days, their other pre-release song will come out. And then in a week, their album will come out and I will just be revived. I will be rebirthed. I will just rise from the ashes again. I'm very excited for that.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. And like I said, SHINee's coming out. New Jeans is going to come out. So many K-pop. Blackpink's going to come out with something too.
Blackpink is coming back?
Literally everyone is coming back. And it stresses me out because...
It's time.
Listen, the K-pop fandoms are ruthless online. And everyone coming out at the same time is just going to be a lot. But I'm also kind of looking forward to it because it'll be entertaining.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So I'm kind of just in an in-between time. I haven't been consuming much new stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been kind of just chilling more and going outside, but now we're in a torrential downpour that's just going to last until the rest of the week, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a hurricane. So we're just stuck for a little while.
We're here. This is just regular East Coast things.
Exactly. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. I've just been doing the same shit. I don't have the capacity for new stuff right now. I mean, I want to.
I don't want to fill my brain with new things yet.
Yeah, I want to read more books, but somehow I haven't really found time to read. I'm gonna be honest. Like I've been reading a little bit before bed. I moved one of my lamps that was on my desk over to my bed, and I'm glad I did that. Because now I could read in bed, and it's no big deal, you know. So we're working on reading more. I also did get 4 books from the library, so I really need to read.
Oh yeah, now you're on a time limit.
Yeah, a 3-week time limit before I have to go take them back. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I think surely by next week we'll have more stuff to talk about.
I'm sure. We always do.
It's a time to consume and be inspired.
Exactly.
And create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think that's it. Let's just wrap it up. We gotta wrap it up.
We gotta shut this down, okay?
We gotta shut this down. We're trying to make the episodes slightly shorter. I don't know. We
very slightly, apparently.
Yeah, very slightly. But we're hoping that it's like a little bit of a better format and a little more, I don't know, cohesive.
Yeah, let us know.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Did you like it? Were you bored? What's up?
Give us your feedback
in the comments below. Jesus. All right, we're done. We're done.
We'll see you guys later. Okay, just have a good week. Stay in your lane. What's the thing that we say? Medium slay and do all the things. Okay?
Shut up. Everybody shut up.
Everybody shut up. Although this is kind of the time to talk. Actually talk to people, but like be careful and think about what you're gonna say before you say it. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you like the show, consider giving us a little rating and review on whatever platform you're listening on. We'd appreciate that so much. And you can always reach us at 2cupsbetween with the number 2 on Twitter, or you can also email us at 2cupsbetween@gmail.com. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.
Bye. What was that?
What do you mean? You always say that. I say the same thing.
Your outro was great. Just this episode was special.
God, I immediately thought you were criticizing.
No. The Cancerian energy of it all.
Oh, God.
No.
Why are you always talking down to me?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, I love it.
Okay, let me. Sorry, I just said so much in like 2 seconds.
That was so funny. God, why are we so good at this?
That's not what I thought you said.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, God. Okay, and outro. Why is my voice so shaky?
Because you're trying not to laugh.
No. Na 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 me.